Hello everyone. Today I will discuss the chapter 11, which is the ethical considerations in research. Before we start, let's discuss the following intended learning outcomes of this lesson. After reading this chapter, we should be able to learn about explain the researcher's ethical responsibility when doing research, identify some ethical question as guide for the researcher at the start of a research project. Describe several reasons why research ethics are important. Identify codes and policies for research ethics. Describes an IRB's function and key issues in evaluating the risks and benefits of a proposed study. Now let's define what is ethical consideration first. Ethical considerations in research are a set of principles that guide your research, designs, and practices. These principles include voluntary participation, informed consent, anonymity, confidentiality, potential for harm, and results communication. So, kaya importante yung ethical considerations in conducting research because it protects human participants. It also helps to examine specific research activities and projects for their ethical soundness. And also, ini-ensure niya na yung research is conducted in a way that serves interests of individuals, groups, or society as a whole. So kapag nag-conduct ka ng research without considering the moral issues on what should be done and what should not be done, yung professional integrity um becomes at stake. So yung notion of ethics is closely linked to the idea of morality. Kasi yung ethics, it concerns the system of moral principles by which individual can judge their actions, kung ano yung right or wrong, or good or bad. Next, Friedman, 2012, these some ethical questions as a guide for the researcher at the start of a research project. The first one is what are the beneficial consequences of the study? So, ano yung mga possible challenges na ma-encounter mo during your during your conducting ng ng research? Next is how can informed consent of the participant to be obtained. So, paano mo mapapapayag yung mga target respondents mo to participate in your study? Next is how can confidentiality of the participants be protected? So, how can you assure na lahat ng data or answers ng participants mo is mami-maintain na or makikip na confidential throughout sa um, process ng study. Next is what are the consequences of the study for the participants? Syempre, kung may possible harm for them, then kailangan ma-discuss din yon sa mga participants. So later on, di-discuss natin yung mga different types of harm. Last is how will the researcher's role affect the study? So, alam mo dapat yung role mo or yung mga do's and don'ts because it might directly affect the study. Next, these are the codes and policies for research ethics. The first one is honesty. So, strive for honesty in all scientific communications. Honestly report data, results, methods, and procedures and publication status. So, huwag mo i-fabricate or falsify or misrepresent yung data because it can result to deceiving yung public. So, katulad ng sinabi ni Doc last time na if 100 yung respondents na need mo, hindi mo pwedeng dayain para makomplete lang yung number ng respondents na um, kailangan mo sa study mo. Next is objectivity. Mahalaga ito to avoid bias in experimental design, data analysis, data interpretations, peer review, personal decisions, grant writing, expert testimony, and other aspects ng research. So, kailangan yung objectivity is nandun, iwasan yung pagiging bias or yung self-deception. Also disclose personal or financial interest that might affect the research. Next is integrity. So keep your promises and agreements dun sa mga participants mo. Act with sincerity, strive for consistency of thought and action throughout the process of your research. Yung pang four, carefulness. So avoid careless errors and negligence. Carefully and critically examine your own work. So dahil those errors or negligence na kahit maliit lang yon, it can affect the study. Next is openness. So share data, results, ideas, tools, and resources. Be open to criticism and new ideas na makakahelp sa paggawa mo ng study mo. Next is respect for intellectual property. So honor patents and other forms ng intellectual property. Do not use unpublished data, methods, or results nang walang permission. So give credit where credit is due. Kailangan ng proper acknowledgement or credit for all contribution to research and never do plagiarism. Yung pang seven is confidentiality. So protect confidential communications such as papers or grants submitted for publication or personal records. Pang seven is yung confident. Ay, yun pala yung kanina. So, yung pang eight is responsible publications. So, publish in order to advance research and scholarships and also iwasan yung mga paggawa ng duplicative publication. Number nine is responsible mentoring. So, para to sa mga people na makatulong sa journey mo sa research, people that will guide us and mentor us. Next is respect for colleagues. So, para sa atin as a research, respect your colleagues and treat them fairly. Yung pang-11 is social responsibility. Strive to promote social good and prevent or mitigate social harms through research, public education, and advocacy. Um, next is yung social responsibility. So yung strive to promote social goods. Next is non-discrimination. So avoid discrimination like related to sex, race, ethnicity, or other factors that are not related to their scientific competence and integrity. Next is competence. Maintain and improve your own professional competence and expertise through lifelong education and learning. So take steps to promote competence as a whole. Pang 14 is legality. Know and obey relevant laws and institutional and government policies na ma-encounter mo during your study. Lastly is pang 15 to, no, animal care. So ito is para sa mga study na related or may animal involved. So if we want to experiment through animal, we must care it also, give proper respect to them in research, do not conduct unnecessary or poorly designed animal experiments. So, yan. Next is, according to Bryman and Bell, 2007, the following 10 points represent the most important principles related to ethical consideration. So the first one, research participants should not be subjected to harm in any ways. So as a researcher, you have to consider all possible sources of harm to participants. And yung harm na tinutukoy dito is um, can come in different forms. It can be psychological harm, social, physical, and legal harm. So sa psychological harm, baka yung mga sensitive questions or tasks na pwedeng makatrigger ng negative emotions sa mga participants like anxiety. Next is yung social harm. So participation can involve social risk, public embarrassment, or stigma. Physical harm naman kapag may mga procedures na kailangan na involve ng physical, so na pwede mag-cause ng injuries or pain dun sa mga participants. Next is the legal harm. So reporting sensitive data could lead to legal risk or breach of privacy. Next is respect for the dignity of research. Participants should be prioritized. So, when conducting research involving human participants, the most important consideration should be treating each individual with respect and recognizing their inherent worth, ensuring their autonomy and privacy throughout the research process. The third one, full consent should be obtained from the participant prior to the study. So, dapat volunteering naki sumali yung participants sa study mo. So, dapat naintindihan and na-receive ng participants yung right information they need to decide whether they want to participate or not. So, this information might include the study's benefits, risk, funding, and institutional approval. So if you are collecting data from people with low literacy, make sure to verbally explain the consent from form to them before they agree to participate. For participants with very limited English proficiency naman, you should always translate the study materials or work dun sa language na naiintindihan nila. And make sure na you translate the consent um exactly dun sa nakasulat. Next is the protection of the privacy of research participant has to be ensured. Then an adequate level of confidentiality, research data should be ensured. So yung 4 and 5 related to each other. So if you are protecting the privacy of your participants, you need to ensure the confidentiality of your research data as well as your participants' data. So, kapag sinabing confidentiality, you know who the participants are, but you remove all identifying information from your report. All participants have a right to privacy, so you should protect yung mga personal data as long as you store or you use it. Even when you can collect data anonymously, you should secure confidentiality wherever you can. Next is anonymity of individuals or organization participating in the research has to be ensured. Anonymity means you don't know who the participants are and you can't link any individual participants to their data. So you can only guarantee anonymity by not collecting any personally identifying information. For example, yung mga names, phones, numbers, email address, IP addresses, physical characteristics, photos, and videos. So, yung name, di ba, nilalagay dyan, optional, ganun. So, dun mo, pwedeng ma-prevent na ma-expose yung mga personal data nila. Next is unneeded deceptions or exaggeration about the aims and objectives of the research must be avoided. So, kapag nagde-design ng research project, researcher must be completely truthful and accurate about what they are trying to achieve, avoiding any misleading or inflated claims about the study goals and purposes. Essentially, they should not present the research in a way that could be considered deceptive or exaggerated. So, kung ano lang yung pinakalaman ng um, study mo, ano lang yung nakolek mo na data, as is lang yun. So, huwag mo exaggerate yung ibang informations. Number 8, affiliation in any form, sources of funding, as well as any possible conflicts of interest have to be declared. This means that anyone involved in a project, such as research or publication, must openly state any personal or professional connections na nangyari doon sa study. Kung saan sila nakakuha kunwari ng financial support and any potential situations their personal interest could influence their work, ensuring transparency and avoiding the bias. Then, number 9, any type of communication in relations to the researcher should be done with honesty and transparency. It is essential to be transparent and honest when communicating research findings. This means acknowledging limitations, caveats, and uncertainties and being clear about what the research findings do and do not show. And lastly, any type of misleading information as well as representation of primary data findings in a biased way must be avoided. So bias input produces inappropriate result. So it could hamper the researcher's credibility. Um, the next topic is ito yung sample of informed consent. So, eto nakuha ko lang siya sa Google. So, nakalagay dyan na yung, um, yung pangalan nung nag-conduct ng study. So, ano yung title ng study. Then, ina-assure yung assurance na yung information na ipoprovide ng participants will be confidential and will be used for no other purpose except for the research purpose only. So, kalagay din dyan yung research advisor. Then, next is what is the Institutional Review Board or the IRB? The Institutional Review Board is an administrative body established to protect the rights and welfare of human research subjects recruited to participate in research activities conducted under the auspices of the institution with which it is affiliated. So, yung RLB may 5 members of varying backgrounds in order to provide complete and adequate review of human research and institutional, legal, scientific, and social implications. So, the board will also include at least one member who is not affiliated with the institution and one member who is not a scientist. So, yung IRB have several consultants who advise the board and are periodically involved in protocol review. So, some people, tinatawag yung IRB as independent review boards or as ethics review committee. So, yung IRB is responsible sa reviewing prior to its initiation, all research, whether funded or not, involving human participants. So, pinoprotektahan niya yung welfare and rights and privacy ng human subjects. The IRB has the authority to approve, exempt, disapprove, monitor, and require modification in all research activities that fall within its jurisdiction. as specified by both the federal regulation and institutional policy. So, yung function nila is ina-assess nila yung ethical acceptability of ng research proposal, ensuring na the risks to participants are minimized and benefits outweigh potential harms. So, pwede kang magpa-consult sa IRB when conducting any research that involves human subject, including surveys, interviews, experiments, or clinical trials. IRVs have several primary objectives and or the purposes in research ethics. Number one, ensuring ethical research practices. So, under nito is yung protection of human subjects. So IRB plays a crucial role in safeguarding the participant rights and welfare. So this responsibility is grounded in the principles outlined in the Belmont Report, which is the respect for person, beneficence, and justice. So, respect for person ensures participants provide voluntary So, in-ensure na yung participants provide voluntary and informed consent. So, IRB review consent procedures to ensure that they are free from coercion and that participants clearly understands the risks and benefits they are involved. So, next is the beneficence. So, requires IRB to conduct through risk-benefit analysis. In-ensure nila that potential benefits outweigh risks to participants. This involves careful evaluations of the study designs and methodologies to identify and mitigate potential harms. Last is the justice. Dito naman is demands fair and equitable selections of research subjects. So IRBs prevent exploitations of vulnerable population, such as children or individuals with mental dis- disabilities. For studies involving children, IRB ensures that um, nakasunod siya sa specific guidelines, including the requirement for assent from minors. Next, the ethical review of research protocols. So, yung IRB is conduct comprehensive reviews of research protocols to ensure scientific validity at ethical integrity. So, this process involves evaluating these study designs. So, dito, kinukonsider yung mga factors such as sample size, data collections method, and statistical analysis plans. Next is the assessing risk-benefit ratio, so identifying the potential physical, psychological, and social risks and weighing them against anticipated benefits. Next is reviewing informed consent procedures. So, katulad ng sinabi ko kanina, is ini-ensure na it is comply sa federal, state, institutional policies. Then, wait, wait. Yeah. So, next is compliance with regulatory standard. So, ayan nga. So, ensuring the all process na ginawa is according to standards na sinusunod ng IRB. Next is comprehensive review and approval process. So, at the start of IRBs, lies to its comprehensive review and approval process. So let's explore the key components of this process. The first one is the initial protocol review. So when a research proposal lands on an IRB's desk, it undergoes through a thorough examinations that leaves with no stone unturned. So this review process is guided by federal, ensuring consistency across institutions. So yung IRB, ina-assess niyo una yung scientific validity of the research. Is the study design sound? Are the methods appropriate to achieve the research objectives? So this evaluation ensures that participants are not exposed to unnecessary risk for the sake of poorly designed research. Next is yung ongoing monitoring and oversight. So the IRB job doesn't end once a study is approved. So continuous yung monitoring and crucial siya to ensure na that ongoing research maintains its ethical standards and regulatory compliance. So yung IRB, pwede siya mag-conduct ng periodic reviews, minsan quarterly, to assess the study progress. They are also responsible for reviewing and approving any amendments or modification na pwedeng mangyari depende do sa progress ng study. This ensures that any changes don't introduce new risks or ethical concerns. Kaya may ongoing monitoring and oversight. Next is the decision-making authority. So IRBs wield significant authority in the research approval process. They have the power to approve studies, require modification, or disapprove research proposals altogether. So this decision-making process is rigorous and based on careful consideration of needs, benefits, ethical implications, and regulatory compliance. So, important aspect siya ng pag-determine ng appropriate level of review for each study. So, depending sa nature and risk level of the research, IRB can decide on a full board review, an expedite review, or declare the study exempt from review. So, yung review ng IRB, kinokonduct siya in a quorum, including at least one member whose primary concern are not non-scientific area. Next is safeguarding informed consent. So one of the most critical function of IRB is safeguarding informed consent. So this crucial aspect of research ethics ensures that participants fully understand the nature of the study they are joining, the potential risks and benefits, and their rights throughout the process ng study. So let's explore how IRBs fulfill this vital role. So review of consent procedures. So they review consent procedures to ensure na yung clarity and completeness ng consent form na meron yung researcher. So this document to ensure na they are free from technical jargon and easily understand by the average participant. Kasi naman, di ba yung study mo is depende sa age bracket. So kung yung age bracket mo is may mga kasama dito yung mga seniors na malabo na yung mata or um, hindi masyadong malinaw yung ano. So, kailangan clear yung mga words na gagamitin mo and can easily understand. So, verify appropriate language and readability is crucial to this consent form. So IRB assess whether the language is suitable for the target population or um, respondents ng researcher. Next is a special consideration for vulnerable populations. So IRB apply an additional safeguard for vulnerable population. So, kasama dito yung mga children, prisoners, and cognitively impaired individuals. So, for children, this often involves obtaining consent form from parents or guardians ng bata. Is so sa prisoners naman, the IRB must ensure the research doesn't exploit their vulnerable status and that participation is truly voluntary. So walang sapilitan na nangyari. So dapat kusa silang sumali nang walang pag-alinlangan dun sa study mo. And next is yung waivers and alterations of informed consent. So, pwede magkaroon ng alterations. So, may IRB considers waiver or alterations of informed consent in certain circumstances. They determine when such waivers are appropriate, typically in cases of minimal risk research where the waiver doesn't adversely affect participants' rights and welfare. So, IRB must navigate complex issues like broad consent for future unspecified research uses and the handling of sensitive personal data, striking the balance between protecting participants' rights and facilitating research advancement. And number four is ito na yung last, yung promoting research integrity, quality, and efficiency. So in 2024, IRB plays a crucial role in upholding the highest standards of research ethics and quality. So, etong 1, 2, 3, 6, the bullets is ito yung naging way ng IRB to promote integrity and to enhance research quality. So, data ay yung una is yung conflict of interest management. So, IRV forefront of identifying and addressing potential conflicts of interest among researchers and board members. So this process is vital for maintaining the integrity of research studies. So kailangan i-disclose yung mga i-disclose yung any real or perceived conflicts of interest in ongoing basis. So when conflicts arise, members must recuse themselves from discussions and voting on affected research proposal. So this refusal is meticulously documented in meeting minutes, ensuring transparency and integrity. Next is the data safety and privacy protection. So, lalo na ngayon na nagkakaroon ng increasingly um, digital world. So IRB plays a critical role in safeguarding the research data and participant privacy. So they review data collection, storage, and sharing practices to ensure the compliance with regulations. Next is scientific merit and study design. So IRB evaluates scientific validity of proposed research, including yung pag-assess ng qualifications of investigators and research teams. So they review study designs to ensure na they statistically sound and that yung sample size are sufficient to achieve the study's objectives. So, hindi lang, kunwari, yung study mo is masyadong malaki yung broad, then, so, dapat broad din yung pagkukunan mo ng, yung number mo ng respondents mo. So, para ma-define yung study's objectives na gusto mong ma-achieve. Next is streamlining review processes. So, to enhance efficiency, many IRBs have implemented electronic submission and review system. So, dito is may kasama ng technologies or yung may application na ng advancement ng technology. So platforms like IRBNet um, allow for seamless electronic submission of protocols review by IRB members. So dito matatrack na nila yung entire process ng review process ng research. So AI-powered tools are also being employed to expedite routine reviews. So these tools can automatically check for regulatory compliance and identify common errors in protocols. So it can reduce yung time, yung consume time na um, na ginagawa during manual review. Next is interinstitutional collaboration. So as a researcher increasingly spans multiple institutions, so IRB are adapting to coordinate multi-site studies effectively. So reliance agreement are becoming more common nowadays, allowing institutions to share oversight responsibilities and ensure consistency and ethical standard across different sites. Next is education and training initiatives. So IRB recognize the importance of ongoing education. Siyempre importante ito para maging updated sa mga trends or sa mga issues na pwedeng magamit or related do sa study or do sa ethics, research ethics. Interactive online training modules are becoming increasingly popular since ngayon na is more digital na yung um, mga tao. So, meron na ding online training, hindi lang yung face-to-face training. So, this module often includes scenario-based quizzes that test understanding of ethical considerations and regulatory compliance, ensuring that both researchers and IRB members stay up to date with evolving ethical considerations and regulations. So, I have this example, yung University of Perpetual Health System Delta and University of Perpetual Health System Delta Institutional Ethics Review Board. So, yung review board nitong ng University of Perpetua established the first institutional ethics committee in October 2004 through the initiative and recommendation of Dr. Paretas P. Simpson Alday, Dean, and with recommendations of Dr. Rowena Silos. So, yung aim neto ng review board nila is to ensure that clinical researchers conducted at Junelta Foundation School of Medicine and the University of Perpetua Health Rizal Medical Center conform with ICH GCP guidelines. So more on itong guidelines nila is more on medical field. So yung objective ng Perpetual is to ensure the protection of the rights, safety, and well-being of human subject involved in health-related research and to provide public assurance of that protections. So, katulad ng mga diniscuss natin kanina, na goal and objectives na IRB is goal din ito ng IRB ng Perpetual. So, ini-ensure nila na consistent yung protection dun sa rights and safety and well-being of human subjects na involved sa research study. So, UPHS complies with the requirements of the following international and national guidelines. So, this guideline has been developed to protect the human participant and research and to ensure the integrity of the scientific data. So, ayan. Ito yung UPHS organizational chart, yung ethics review board nila. So, chairman of yung sa pinaka taas is yung chairman of the board, CEO, and president. Then next is the president of University of Perpetual. Then President University of Perpetual Help Delta Medical Center. Then UPHS Corporate Vice President for Research and UPHS Institutional Ethics Review Board Chairman. So, ayan yung chart nila. So, ito yung process nila. Upon the receipt of the protocol, the Secretary General classifies the protocol review pathway as full board review, um, expedite review or exemption. So, chapter 2.2 and 2.3. If for full board review, the principal investigator is invited and scheduled to present in the next scheduled meeting. For expedite review, the Secretary General assigns one medical reviewer and one non-medical or lay member as review of the protocol. So only those protocols with low risk intervention submitted by recent trainees may be classified for expedite review based on a set criterion. So for protocols classified ang exempted from IERB review, then the secretary sends an exemption notification, then that the investigator is required when applicable to provide the written notifications, changes, or amendments na mangyayari. Then last, the investigator is required to submit in timely manner the final paper to the UPHS. So, yung function ng review board ng Perpetual is to develop, recommend, and implement guidelines on the ethics review of research protocols and ini-ensure that na yung satisfactory review of submitted research protocols by following the standard operating procedures, and also to issue ethics clearance to approve research protocols. Ini-ensure din niya rin yung primary objective nito is yung rights and well-being ng human subjects, and also to address and act on concern of research participants and other stakeholders. So that's all. Thank you.